into the world of speech, language, different types of communication, and learning. Join us as we explore the magical world of what good communication is, the important developmental milestones of babies and toddlers, and how parents and carers can help little communicators to grow. Now let's talk about these amazing little communicators and their communication competence. From ages 0 to 2, children's communication skills may seem small, but their brains are working in big ways. This is the most intensive period for acquiring speech and language development. When your baby cries and looks at you, they're not just upset, they're communicating. Through simple back and forth moments like this, they're learning reciprocity. I cry, you respond. This is the building block for more complex communication like requesting, interacting, and attracting attention. This learning provides the basis for increasing complexity and competence into words and sentences.
Is that the one you wanted? The car?
Children learn through social situations, observing how their parents and caregivers respond, to understand how gestures, sounds, and words can influence others. When mum labels the object, she's helping build semantic networks in the child's growing brain. They also observe facial expressions, connecting this to tone and social cues, crucial to determine how to respond and interact in the future. This simple exchange of smiles is more than just a heartfelt interaction. It conveys that the child is learning to read faces and is beginning to understand that expressions have meanings. While speech is limited during early ages, children are learning about how communication works. At this age, their communication competence is not all about the ability to talk. It is important in understanding emotions, engaging with others, and expressing needs. This lays the foundation for later language, literacy, and social and emotional development. From when children are born to 2 years old, children go through key speech, language, motor, and sensory stages. Between birth to 6 months, infants have pre-linguistic and pre-verbal speech and language. They use unintentional communication forms like crying, babbling, cooing, and eye gaze.
Yeah, you can play with your toys now.
As part of their motor development, infants can pull themselves up from lying down by 6 months and can hold toys like a rattle.
Good job!
This first stage of development, infants look at objects in their immediate environment and react to toys that make a sound. What's more, infants can recognize their mother's voice and have physical contact can calm them.
It's okay.
7 to 12 months, speech and language development stage, infants start to develop intentional nonverbal communication called the illocutionary stage. They use gestures, vocalizations, and facial expressions to communicate their intent.
Oh, would you like to play with the block?
At this stage, in infants' motor and sensory development, they can sit, crawl, and grab toys in their immediate environment. During the developmental stage of 13 and 18 months, children continue to use intentional verbal communication known as the locutionary stage. The words they are trying to use are often still approximation.
Dada. Do you want to come to Dada?
At this motor and sensory stage, children can stand, are learning to walk, and can self-feed, exploring different tastes and textures.
Nana.
Do you like your banana?
Finally, between 19 to 24 months, children show increasing communication competence, saying about 50 to 100 words. By 24 months, they can use 2-word combinations to communicate their message.
Big truck. Mama up.
Yeah, the big truck is going up the hill.
In this final stage, children can walk, run, jump, help dress themselves, and use a spoon when feeding. Infants are born with the ability to acquire communication. However, it is essential that parents and caregivers support them through effective strategies. Children in unresponsive relationships with their parents face difficulty effectively communicating with their peers and others. The most critical yet simple strategy to support an infant is just talking to them. Infants need exposure. The more exposure they have to words and sentence structure, the easier it is to gain an understanding. The most productive way to implement this is to assign designated speaking times to your infants, for example, bedtime stories, bath time adventures, and recapping the day at dinner.
Guess what we did today, Mommy? Bark.
That's right, you went to the park.
Do you see how the parents gave the baby the opportunity to respond and then tune into the conversation? While talking to your infant, it is important that they are able to showcase and practice their linguistic abilities. This also applies to responding to gestural and nonverbal cues.
Tuck.
Truck? Do you mean truck?
Tuck.
Oh no, that's a train.
While talking to your infant, it is imperative that you highlight proper pronunciation to your child, even if their communicative abilities have not reached that stage. In addition to this, ensure that we rectify the child's misuse of terminology as soon as it occurs. This expands the child's vocabulary and reduces the chance of under or overextension occurring. As seen before, a caregiver should use short sentences to adhere to an infant's attention span so they are able to follow along and not be overwhelmed by the language used. In expanding their vocabulary and introduction to new words, caregivers can encourage retention by emphasizing certain sounds and consonants within the word. The World Health Organization's International Classification of Functioning Disability in Health, or ICF framework, outlines the influence and interaction of biological, social, and psychological domains on the health outcomes of an individual. Through this lens, we can examine how delayed growth or atypical difficulties in a child's language acquisition can impact their ability to engage with the world around them and affect subsequent stages of development. When a young child is experiencing delays or difficulties in their communication, such as less vocabulary than typically observed or insufficient phonetic inventory, they will struggle to express their needs and obtain the attention and acknowledgement they require. This lack of reception can lead to frustration, emotional distress, and behavioral disturbances, such as withdrawal and sleep problems. Difficulties in communication can also negatively influence a child's ability to interact with their siblings, peers, and caregivers at daycare or in other environments. Due to delays or struggles in receptive language or intelligibility of their speech, toddlers can experience social rejection by other children and withdraw from social interaction, which poses risk and damage to the child's overall health, well-being, and development. As early as 8 weeks, infants begin using turn-taking behaviors, responding to eye contact and vocalizations from their caregivers. A great example of this behavior is infants playing peekaboo. These exchanges are called proto-conversations. They are the building blocks of the infant's future social communication skills, teaching them that they can communicate with others through their own actions. Difficulties in these early communication skills prevent bonding between the infant and their caregivers and lead to delays in language acquisition, reading skills, social skills, and even overall cognitive development. Luckily, speech pathologists are here to now we understand that through early identification and playful engagement, we can ensure every child has the opportunity to build strong foundations for lifelong learning, social interaction, and well-being. With timely support from parents and caregivers, children can thrive and carry these skills throughout their life.